2 trucks, my trucks, and the feather light, and another truck. It was my dad's truck.
Okay. And you have alleged that these items got stolen, but you have no evidence that those items were stolen or by the Monteparas or anyone connected with the Monteparas, do you?
It started connecting as beginning. It was peace and quiet until our dog got tangled up.
Okay, now let's talk about the dog getting tangled up. They called in to animal control that your dog was tangled up, right?
I believe.
And animal control came out because your dog was tangled up. Is that correct?
It was, I believe it was not, because I was present at home. I did not hear a dog barking. I did not hear anything.
Well, I thought you testified that the dog got tangled up when you went to church.
That's another incident.
Okay.
That's on Sunday.
And that was
when we just left to church. We came back. The fence was torn apart. And we got a note on the door that he was there.
And the dog was chained to the fence, is that correct?
No. It was connected to our trailer.
The dog was chained to your trailer?
He was on the chain.
Where was the chain connected to?
On the trailer.
Okay.
But how he was connected, he was twisted around the trailer so many times, like he was like a horse.
And
that was an accident on 12/27.
And animal control came out and freed the animal, right?
That's what he told me.
Okay. Now, have there been other incidents where your dog has gotten out? And you said there were 2 incidents where the dog was gone. Are there incidents where the dog gets out?
Which one you prefer? Which one? Which dog?
Well, you have several, right?
I had Black Puppy that we usually play outside with a Black Puppy, and he would play outside.
Okay, and I'm going to show you a picture of what I think you're calling the Black Puppy. Is this the
That's the Black Puppy.
Okay. Now, does that dog get out?
That time, we were outside. I got inside to bring him some food. I came outside, my doggy was gone. And Michael Montepara that time, he said, "Oh, you're looking for a doggy? He's right there." And he was taking pictures of my doggy, and there is proof.
Yes.
That he was taking pictures of my doggy that time. When my doggy came back, he had leash missing. We unbuckled him because we were playing with the dog that day. And when we got inside, it seems like Montepara called my doggy. He came to his property or around the property, and he started taking pictures.
But you have no proof the Monteparas let the dog loose, do you?
This one, we were playing outside with all the kids with this doggy. He had a chain, he had this bracelet on it. We unhooked it here. But when we went inside, we called our doggy. He came without the bracelet on it.
Did you ever find the collar?
Never found the collar.
And he got out of the collar another time with the picture that you showed the judge.
This is not the same dog. This one, we let him play outside.
Okay.
We were outside with him. We let him play outside.
And you would agree that this is the front of the Montepara's home, where their gate is?
This is the front.
And the dog's on the other side out by the road, right?
That moment, like I said, we played with him. We got inside to grab some food for him, and so my kids can drink some water. We come out.
I want to ask you to pay attention to the question and answer the question directly. Okay.
You'd agree with me that the dog is on the other side of the Montepara's fence by the road, right?
This is by the road, but this is right here.
Okay.
It's by the road.
And you would agree on this one that the dog is out by the road on that one as well?
It seems like he called him to go there.
And do you have any evidence?
Yes, I do. Because I just came up, when I got inside the house, I came back and I called my doggy. He wasn't there. Michael Montepara had his black camera, and he said, "Are you looking for your doggy?" And I said, "Yes, I was just here. We were just here playing with it." "Yes." And he goes, "I know where he is. He just ran that way."
Okay, so he told you which way the dog went?
Yes, he did.
I moved to the
He told me where my dog went. And I said, "Well,
Ms.
so fast."
Well, she's made a motion to put these pictures into evidence. Do you have any objection?
There's evidence that he knew where my doggy went. It was on my property, laying down when I went inside to grab some drinks.
All right. Your objection is noted. We will enter these as defendants. These 3 pictures will be entered as defendants exhibit number 1.
And this is the same dog, wasn't it?
I object.
Your objection is noted.
I object.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Fuller.
And Ms. Relator, you were contacted by the county also about the condition of your property and your grass being too high, weren't you?
I never received any penalties or tickets
Were you
because
contacted by the county?
yes, I did. I got a letter that it was higher than 12 inches,
And were these accurate pictures?
and my husband, he cut all the rest because I was not aware of this law before. But when I got the papers, I said, "Wow, really? It can't be? Okay." So my husband cut it within a few days.
Okay, so you were contacted by the county. You'd agree with me that these pictures accurately reflect the height of the grass of your property in April of 2012.
But I was not convicted. I never got a ticket.
Do you have
Miss-
any?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That question can be answered yes or no. If you please just answer yes or no, and she'll go on with the next question.
It was high, but when I got noticed, we caught it right away.
All right, she's answered.
And are you aware who contacted the county about the condition of your grass?
Community watchers. Who is community watcher?
And that would be Mr. and Mrs. Montepara. Is that correct?
Montepara.
I move to admit these into evidence, Your Honor.
Object to that, Ms. Roletta.
Object.
This group of pictures will be entered as defendant's exhibit number 1. Your objection is noted. They will enter as exhibit for the defendant. I'm sorry, number 2, defendant number 2.
And Ms. Roletta, you filed your motion for a restraining order on or about July 24th, 2012. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you testified about these metal posts that you assert that Mr. Montepara had out in the yard. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you,
I don't know.
Your Honor?
I knew.
Sir.
I knew.
Do you understand that you've been told not to talk?
Yes.
You'll leave the court and you can come back in when you're
Скажи мне,
talking.
надо ловить, потому что
Sir.
это,
Outside, please.
скажи, bullshit.
Sir, excuse me?
Yeah.
Just keep him outside, we call him in. Or Ms. Foley, you may go.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Relator, you recall testifying about these green metal sticks that Mr. Montepara had out in the yard. Is that correct?
He was threatening my doggy. I would not even know.
Was he threatening your doggy, man, or was he trying to put up a privacy for you?
He was threatening my doggy. I personally looked in the window and I saw Mr. Michael Montepara had the post. Like, do you have like a pencil so I can
I understand what you're saying, just go ahead.
up? Who puts post up like this? Is he trying to fix air or what?
You understand that it
Post has to be post. If I would see him putting post down in the ground, working on it, I would not complain. When I look in the window, I saw Montepara, Michael, putting post facing my doggy, and he was moving fast. And my doggy was trying to jump and protect our family. And I saw Doreen Montepara had camera taking pictures. Like I said, when I opened the door, she hid behind the fence and Michael ran as fast as he could towards his front yard. And he placed those sticks in the front yard.
You didn't place them beside your wooden privacy fence?
No, not at that time. Those two sticks, those two metal posts were placed by his front gate.
So is your dog chained up with a leash or is it not?
He has a leash here and he has a chain. And the chain connects to the ground so he can run around and have fun and just run around. That's how it is. Connected. My husband put a metal stick that goes in the ground and it connects. It's specially made for dogs that he can run around a circle motion and be connected still to a chain.
Well, let's look at these documents then. You would agree that this wooden fence is your wooden fence, is that correct?
This is my wooden fence.
And are these the green poles that you're talking about that are to the right of that wooden fence?
Look at this picture. There was nothing brought in Montepara's yard before. He had the green posts, metal post in his hands, trying to hit my doggy.
Now, how do you know it was in his yard?
I could see him.
So you can look in his yard, but it's not okay to look in your yard.
No, I look in the window and I could see because he was standing right here. That's where my doggy is, right here.
In the doghouse, right?
And on his property.
Right.
But he was so close that the sticks would even touch the fence.
But he didn't touch your dogs with the sticks, did he?
He had no chance because I heard, that moment when I heard, I look in the window and I saw Montepara. Both Monteparas he had sticks, the metal post, she had camera. I could not take longer time. I had to open the door and let my doggy know that I am here. It's okay. I am here and I'm watching what's going on. At that point, I called 911. After when I called 911, there was nobody that been working outside. Sheriff came over and he's like, oh, and I said, you see those posts by the front gate? That's those posts. When I look in the door and I saw him trying to hit my dog, he brought those posts way back by the front fence.
Okay, Ms. Rowland.
That time when the...
Hold on, you've answered the question, that's enough for now.
Okay.
You have another question?
Ma'am, did he use those posts and put them in the ground and then put up tarps as a separation between your house and his?
After when the sheriff came to my property, when I called, there was nobody, not Michael Montepara.
That's not my question.
Okay.
My question is, after he put up the green posts, did he thereafter attach a tarp to them to create a visual barrier between your property and his?
After when sheriff spoke with them, he started working on them and he placed tarp
Okay.
on his property.
And this is a true and accurate copy of the tarps that were placed on the property?
That's exactly.
And those are on his property, right?
It's like a Fiesta. Blue tarp, you can see everywhere, blue tarp.
But it visually creates a barrier between your property and his, doesn't it?
It does create, but he placed this tarp after when I put restraining order. It haven't been done before.
And do you know the reason he did it?
To cover himself up.
Do you
Try to cover everything so you can bring this proof that he's an honest man. And he's trying to cover him up.
You haven't called the police on him since he put those up, have you?
I called before.
But you haven't called since, have you?
Yes, ma'am.
I called when my doggy disappeared, when still cameras was facing my dog.
And that was on what date?
My doggy disappeared on 8/7.
Okay.
And after when my doggy disappeared, finally the camera started facing Montepara's yard.
Now, this time when you had this theft, you never told the police that there were cameras facing your yard that they could have gone and gotten any evidence, did you?
It was no cameras that time.
Okay.
It seems like they've been watching just with their eyes. There was few cameras that was hiding in the trees. Every time I would ask the sheriff to go and check it out, he would say, I don't know how can I do that, but it's civil. Even sheriff told me that that I need to record everything for evidence.
The sheriff told you to record everything for evidence.
Because he said it's civil. Civil is civil.
Okay. So when the theft allegedly occurred in December, you never told the police or you never asked the Monteparas at that point before the problem started in March for the video, did you?
Because I didn't know.
Well,
I was shocked. I was like, who started doing this to us? It started with the tangle up our doggy, then the trailer has been stolen, and then setting up more cameras in 3/23/2012. It's after when they set up camera, it did not stop. It continued, and it got worse.
And do you recall that the neighbor on the other side of the Monteparas actually had a 17-year-old daughter that was killed by gang violence?
Nothing. What a few days before, when I went to get my mail, a neighbor spoke with me and she said that
Ma'am, do you know about gang violence in the neighborhood? That's my question. Do you know that the neighborhood has a problem with crime?
Yes or no?
you're asking if I know it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Because there was no violence. When we lived for 6 months, there was no violence. No violence. Until my doggy was chained up to, tangled up.
So the only violence that you're aware of is when your dog was tangled? You're not aware of any other community violence?
It's quiet. It's quiet. Good neighbors. Another neighbors from my side, they're good. I never even see them. All the neighbors are great. We had no problems with nobody. Only Monteparas. Nobody bugged us. Nobody threatened us. Only Monteparas.
You've answered the question, okay? Wait for another question.
Mrs. Roletta, tell me exactly what Mr. Montepara has done to you specifically, or that you have witnessed, that threatens your safety individually or your children's safety.
Putting up cameras.
So you don't like the cameras?
I don't like it, cameras. My kids are scared. They don't even want to go play outside because they see cameras facing our house. Every time I go outside, she threatens me. She tells me to go back where you came from. Why you even end up here?
And how does that threaten you?
It threatens me. I want to live in peaceful community. This is our house. This is where my kids go to school. This is where our lives are. And we want to be safe. And we don't feel safe at home. We don't feel safe at home.
Is it that you don't feel safe because you filed suit in North Carolina alleging that you and your children are all injured and you don't want to be on video with your children jumping on their trampoline right after that accident?
They've been treated. They're well.
Is that what you testified to on April 7th of 2012 when you gave your deposition at the Asheville, North Carolina Law Office of Contrivo and Contrivo? That sworn testimony that you gave, ma'am?
I object. This is going to in my personal life, and I will not answer any questions. This is my personal life.
You may answer yes or no to the question.
I will not answer anything. We're here to put a restraining order on my neighbors. This is not.
Ms. Roletta, would you repeat your question?
Yes. You testified, Ms. Roletta, that your children were treated and they were fine. And my question was, is that what you testified to under oath at the law offices of Contrivo and Contrivo in Asheville, North Carolina on April 7th of 2012?
Just yes or no.
I don't remember the date, so I will not answer.
Do you remember your testimony? Did you testify your children were treated and fine? Or did you testify that all of you each had damages in excess of $10,000?
I don't recall that the date.
That's not my question, Your Honor.
All right.
It's an
I have a problem with the relevance of that to our situation today, so
I can
object
tie it
to
in.
those questions. I'm going to object to those questions and move forward, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Roletta, I believe what you've testified to is some complaints that supposedly my clients, and I think you call her the little teenager, what she supposedly said to you about her father and what her father might do. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And they have never, neither Mr. Montepara nor Mrs. Montepara, they never individually have ever threatened harm to you personally, have they?
They did harm me. She threatened me.
How did she threaten you?
She told me, go back where you came from.
Okay, that's the threat that you're alleging.
She also threatened me that she was, like I said before, she placed her arms on her and she squished them so hard, and she said that yours are smaller than mine, like mine are bigger than yours. That's sexual threat. I don't want to hear that from neighbors.
Okay, did she threaten to touch your breasts in any way?
Well, she touched hers.
Okay, because she never threatened to touch yours. You would agree with me on that, right?
This point, I don't know. She might.
Your Honor, I would first move to put into evidence the pictures with the poles and the tarps.
Those poles and tarps were placed after when I called 911, and officer spoke with them.
But you would
And
agree
then after that point, they started putting up tarp from no reason, just after when the officer spoke.
you would agree that the green poles are the same poles that you described that Mr. Montepara had in his hands.
That's exactly, but he brought it to he did not start placing them by my dog. When he saw me, he ran to the front gate. Why? And the first he would not go to the front gate. Why? Why he was standing?
The statements you're making, are your objections to the pictures. I noted your objections, but I am going to allow them to enter as defendant's exhibit number 3. You have another question?
Yes, I do. Ms. Roletta, do you know that child? Is that your son?
I cannot see his face, but my kids don't go there.
That's
This
not my
is-
question. Is
This
your
is
child?
not my,
That is not your child? The child that's here out in the lobby today?
this one,
Has on the same outfit?
I cannot even see his face.
You would agree with me that all of these pictures, the child has on a black t-shirt and khaki pants. That's your child, isn't it?
I remember him running after my dog. Or maybe he was, a cat. Neighbor's cat got on our property.
Can you
And
identify the picture as your child?
This is my child.
All right, that was
So he ran and he wanted to see where the cat is going.
Okay.
So he said, Mama, this is the neighbor's
Object.
cat.
The question was only if it's your child or not, and you've answered yes, correct?
This is my
All
child.
right.
Okay. And you'd agree that your child has in his right hand a stick near the Montepara's cat?
No,
You would agree there's something in his right hand, wouldn't
there's
you?
nothing.
Okay. And you would agree that your child was in the same outfit after the blue tarps was put up and was peeking around the blue tarps?
This is, like I said, this is under the age. He's not 18, and I will not put this in the evidence.
Well, my question
I
is,
object.
that child was on their property, is that correct?
I object.
Based on the age of the child?
I object.
The relevance of the pictures.
Relevance of the pictures, Your Honor, is that the child was on their property, on the Montepara's property, and you'll see in one of the pictures that the child has a stick in his hand. And you'll see Mr. Montepara testify that he had to chase the child off of the property because the child was poking the cat with a stick. I wanted her to identify that they were the
Chasing, maybe he was chasing after my child and scaring him, and he had no way out, so he was kind of lost.
All right. Your objection again is noted, but pictures will be allowed as defense.
Not allowed. He's under the age.
Ma'am, it's up to me to determine
Okay.
whether or not be allowed, okay? And I'll answer your complaint, your objection.
Mr. Letter, do you recognize this truck?
Yes,
Okay, is that a truck on your property?
it's on my property.
Is that a camera mounted on the truck, ma'am?
That's not a camera, that's a light.
Okay, so it's your testimony today that you don't have a camera pointed at the Montepara?
I don't have any cameras pointing on Monteparas.
You're not moved to admit that into evidence?
This is not a camera. You can come and look it over.
Ms. Fuller, what here are you stating is a camera?
The object that is about 12 o'clock on the truck. She denies it's a camera. The picture.
This is not a camera. This is how we bought the truck. That's a mirror. It's a mirror.
Is it a light or is it a mirror? You testified it was a light. Now you're testifying it's a mirror?
I think it's a light or a mirror. I didn't even pay attention. This is how we bought it, and it was just standing there.
I have no proof that that's a camera, Ms. Fuller. I'm not going to allow that.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Arletter, you testified, I believe, that when you called 911 initially, that you said that the little teenager said, "Stop looking at me, you predators." Is that what your testimony was?
She started, we were outside with our kids.
Can you answer just my question, ma'am? My question is, did you say in your testimony today that what she said to you was, "Stop looking at me, you predators"? Is that
That's what she
said?
wanted to try to tell us, that we're looking at her. And I said, we're not looking. First of all, I said, I asked my husband and the kids, I'm like, is she talking to us? Yeah, like she was saying bad words, and then stop looking at me, you looking me like you're predators. And I said, wait. This is our deck. We just said goodbye to our relatives, and we were proceeding to get inside the house. And she started talking to us.
Is it your testimony that she called you a predator or not?
That's what I heard, but I'm not sure. Maybe she said something else.
Do you know why you didn't tell 911 that, ma'am?
I said, everything. I said my husband was there, my kids. We spoke to the sheriff. We said what she said, what he said. The sheriff came back and said that Montepara, Michael Montepara admits
She's
that she said.
trying to enter hearsay again.
All right, don't say what the officer
Okay.
said.
Do you recall calling 911 at 8:44 on July the 21st and reporting allegedly what the minor child in Montepara's yard said to you?
She was threatening me. I recall she was threatening me.
Okay, I'm going to play for you what you told 911.
Like cashier emergency. My neighbors, I went outside to my doggy, and my neighbors, her husband and wife, neighbors, sent their daughters outside, and she started screaming, stop staring at me, stop looking at me. Excuse me, I have my property, I have my doggy, that I can go to my doggy, and the whole day, I'm staring at that girl. I have my doggy, and the parents are sitting outside, and they send her daughter, and the daughter started telling me, stop staring at me, and I'm like, I'm not even looking at you. She goes, I am a teenager. What's your name? She's gonna be staring at me. We're gonna shoot you. We're gonna kill you.
Okay, what's your address, hon?
2909.
So stop right there. First of all, you said that the child said, "We are going to shoot you. We are going to kill you."
Yes, she also said that too. But I wanted to be specific. Also include that she said that my dad will shoot you all.
And you, being specific, you feel certain that you said that she called you a predator.
She was saying bad words to me. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. She said, "I am a teenager. Stop looking at me. I'm a teenager," and she was telling me more things.
Okay, well, let's finish what you said to 911.
South Midaki Street Extension. They're threatening me, like she said, like if you're gonna look or her dad will shoot me.
Now, did she say that she said they were going to whoop you or that they were going to shoot you?
Shoot.
Okay, but she told 911 first of all whoop and then you changed
Shoot.
it to shoot, right?
Shoot.
Did you hear that on the tape? You want me to back it up for you?
They're threatening me, like she said, like if you're gonna look.
That they're going to whoop. You heard that, right? You want me to play it again?
Maybe I wanted to say something.
South Midaki Street Extension. They're threatening me, like she said, like if you're gonna look.
They're going to whoop.
If you're gonna look.
Oh, if you're going to look.
She said, if you're gonna look.
Or her dad will shoot me.
If you're gonna look.
It's like
at
I'm
me.
so scared in my yard. And I said, you know what? I'm not even look at you. I'm a teenager. Stop looking at me or my dad will shoot you.
Okay, what's your phone number you're calling me from?
They redacted that, Your Honor. That's a redaction.
And I was with my friend.
Why it's not saying I was with my friends? Why it was?
4276-7618.
Okay, your name 7690.
Why they cut it off, that information?
Your Honor, I can explain to her if it would assist. 911 will redact information, personal information from tapes received under the Freedom of Information Act. So they redacted your telephone number and they redacted your friends' names. So they just stopped.
I did not say my friend's name. I said my friends, and I did not call their name.
Okay.
Why they shut it off
All right.
when I tried to explain that my friends were at my house and we had a cookout.
Can we move forward and so?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, the second time that you called 911, ma'am, it was at 10:35 a.m. Is that correct? On the
Date?
26th of July of 2012. And this was the time when you said that they were provoking your dog. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you recall that you did not tell 911 that time that Mr. Montepara in any way lifted those metal sticks, as you called them, to your dog?
I explained to 911 that he was lifting them up, trying to hit my doggy.
Okay, well, then
I
listen.
explained in trying to hit my doggy. When you call 911,
911, what's the location of your emergency?
2909 South Midaki Street Extension. Anderson, South Carolina, 2964. My neighbors been walking my dog. I heard him barking very, very scared and angry, and I opened the door, I look outside. Neighbors are very close to my dog and taking pictures of my dog.
Okay.
I closed the door just now.
Dog running loose?
I'm here.
Is the dog running loose?
No, he's on the chain. My doggy is on the chain. They have some kind of metal sticks. My doggy's scared. They pretend that they're working, but I see her with the camera. I'm looking in the window. Can I do?
Okay, so in all of that, you never said that the sticks were being pointed at your dog. You just said it was scared.
When I said it was, did you guys hear it? It was no noise. That was when I tell him when he was pointing fingers with the sticks, and they she erased the part.
So you're alleging that 911 erased that part.
You did.
I'll put into evidence the original CD-ROM, Your Honor, received from 911. I have a letter in response to the FOIA laying the foundation for it, Your Honor. Here is all of the police reports.
All right, let's back up.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Fuller, that's not necessary.
Okay.
It's not necessary at all.
Okay.
And I'll ask that you proceed on with your cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Beg court's indulgence, 1 second. Your Honor, defense rests with this witness.
All right, let me step down. Do you wish to call another witness?
Do you need my husband?
Is he going to elaborate on any more than what you've already told us? Or is it going to be a repetition of what you've already said?
When they threatened us to kill.
Can he
was
add
there.
any additional information, or
I
will it be
think-
a repetition of what you already said?
He can I go out and ask? I think he has something to say. Ask him. And I have a witness, also a witness.
All right, so you want your husband to testify first?
Yes.
Mr. President, you can ask him to come back in, and if he can behave himself in an orderly fashion. If not, he will be asked to leave again.
Just about he'd stepped out with the children.
Mr. Holder, who is your other witness?
My niece.
Your Honor, I would ask who she's texting, if her husband's outside.
I have a camera.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Sir?
Yeah, first name.
Yes, sir. All right, that's correct. You'll call your other witness. Your husband is not available. If you want to call your other witness, tell the officer who is.
Julia.
Judy.
Julia.
Could you witness stand there, please? You place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. Do you swear or affirm your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, be seated, please. State your name, please, ma'am.
It's Yulia Zatepa.
Say that again.
Yulia Zatepa.
Spell the last name for me.
Zatepa.
Ms. Florida, do you have questions for Ms. Zapata? She's your witness, you could ask her
She is my witness.
Would you like to ask her questions to provide the information that we need to hear?
Okay.
Ask her a question.
Julia,
Yes.
remember that day you came after you had a vacation.
I
You
did.
came after vacation with your mom and you stopped by our house. Remember how you asked my kids
Yes.
if you can go outside and play?
Yes. We went out to play on the trampoline. We were jumping around, you know, having fun, and then I see Miss Doreen over there. She came out. She was standing behind her. There's a her fence. Like there's an open part, like see-through part, and then there's a covered. It's made out of wood and some trees. And the time we were there, she was just standing behind the bushes and just watching us, and it kind of gave me the weird, creepy feeling. So after a while, I just took the kids and we left. I just couldn't stand it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Why you took the kids inside? How did you feel?
Well, this has been going on. Alla, my aunt, has been calling my mom, me, about complaints against Miss
Your
Doreen.
Honor, this is hearsay, it's double hearsay.
All right. Don't say what someone else has said. Do you have any personal knowledge of anything
Yes.
that they've done? Well, tell me about the personal knowledge.
Well, personal knowledge, it's the way it's been affecting my family with the stress. After her daughter threatened their family, I mean, it's been stressful. You know, when somebody threatens your family that they're going to kill, we take it seriously. And we have been stressing, we have been calling
Objection
every...
on the foundation, does she have any foundation that there's been threats?
Have you heard threats been made? Did you hear any
My
threats?
aunt told me.
Okay. Do you live also in?
I live in Asheville.
In Asheville?
Mhm.
Okay, so you don't live here?
No.
All right. Any other questions?
How do you feel when you come in my house to visit us? How do you feel? You feel safe, or do you feel like you can go outside and play freely with the kids? How do you feel?
I don't feel safe. Just based on what she told me and the way she made me feel when I was out there playing with the kids and watching me. Not the good kind of watching. I mean, usually, you know, you say, hi, you know, introduce yourself. I'm fine. I can talk to anyone. But the way she was watching us, and it made me feel very unsafe.
Was she staring? Or?
She was peeking around, like, from the bushes. I knew she was there. She made her presence known, but she wouldn't, you know, really say hi or anything.
Okay. Any other questions?
And I recall that time when she brought the kids back inside the house, and I said, well,
Objection, Your Honor, is she gonna ask the question, is she gonna testify again?
Ask the question, Ms. Montepara. I'm sorry, I missed her.
when you brought the kids inside the house, I asked you why you came back inside the house so fast.
And I told you I wanted to play with the kids. They wanted to stay outside, but I felt unsafe. I felt like I was being watched.
Okay.
Plus, knowing that the camera was pointed on me, I did not like that feeling of being watched.
Did you personally see a camera?
Yes.
Where was the camera located?
It was from their yard.
Where was it located in,
I'm sorry?
where was it located that you saw it? Where was it when you saw it?
It was, I'm not sure where it was. It's been a while.
So was it in the trees or on a fence, or you don't know where it was?
I'm not sure where it
Okay,
was.
good. Ms. Foley, you have a question for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Satsefa, were you found guilty of minor possession and consumption of alcohol in Washington State in 2007?
Yes, I was.
And were you also found guilty of minor possession and consumption of alcohol in April of 2006?
But that has nothing to do with this.
Were you convicted of those crimes, ma'am?
No.
You were not convicted of those crimes?
No, the court dismissed it.
Did you enter into a pretrial intervention or something of that nature?
What do you mean? Well, when I came to court, they dismissed it.
Okay. Do you know where the garden is located on the Montepara's property?
The garden?
Yes, ma'am. Do you know where the Montepara's garden is located on their own property?
No.
Okay, so you have no knowledge of whether the garden on the Montepara's property is located near the bushes that you're talking about that Mrs. Montepara was near?
What are you talking about? I said she was by the trees. I did not say she was in a garden. There's a fence. She was by the trees, and I said that's where she was.
Did you say she was by the trees or by the bushes?
Bushes, trees, it's right there by the fence. That's what I said.
Well, how tall were the bushes or the trees?
The trees were pretty tall.
How about the bushes?
Trees, bushes, they're the same thing. I'm sorry, but please don't get me confused.
I'm
I
not
think
trying-
she stated that she was peeking around the.
Yes, she was peeking from behind the fence, the wooden fence. She was over there. That's what I said.
Okay, well, let me make sure I understand where you're talking about so that I can appropriately understand it. Now, there's one wooden fence, is that correct?
Yes. What it goes is that the metal fence and then the wooden fence.
Okay.
And she was behind the wooden fence.
Okay, which side of the wooden fence was she
On her side of the property.
Okay, so I'm going to show you a document that was previously marked. Was she on this side of the wooden fence where it used to open up, or was she on the other side?
Well, this is their, I see this is Rex's booth. I was on this side. She was over here.
So she was behind this wooden fence on this area?
Yes, she was right here.
Near where
Looking
that
around.
ladder is?
Yes.
Did she threaten you verbally in any way?
No, she didn't.
Did she bear any weapons towards you?
Not, I have not seen any.
Did she make any threatening gestures towards the children?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions, John.
All right. You may step down. Any other witnesses, Ms. Ms. Foley?
We have witnesses, Your Honor. I'm going to make a motion, though, at the conclusion of plaintiff's case.
All right. She's finished.
Okay. Your Honor, we would move at this time for a directed verdict. We do not believe that she's met the very high burden of showing that there's no legitimate purpose for the cameras or that she has been physically threatened by these two defendants. Her sole threats that she has alleged come from a teenage child, and she has admitted that the pictures are her child on their property. And if the testimony is only what allegedly a little teenager apparently said to her, I do not believe that meets the standard for a restraining order under the harassment and stalking statute. And I do not believe it definitely meets the standard for the harassment under 16-3-1700 for these two defendants, Your Honor. And we would ask at this time that the court find so and that the court issue a ruling against the plaintiff.
Ms. Roletta, would you like to speak to her motion?
Yes, like I said, I have more proof, but when you guys denied, I tried to find pictures on my camera, and you told me to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And I have another proof that I can show again, if you're willing to let me play this video.
Not at this time. Ms. Fuller, I'm going to deny your motion
Okay.
this time, and you can proceed with your case. But
Thank you, Your Honor. Defendant calls Doreen Montepara.
the Bible, raise your right, please. You swear or affirm your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right, proceed.
State your name.
Doreen Montepara?
Montepara, answer any questions that Ms. Golden may have for you, please.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Montepara, can you tell the court how long you've lived on South McDuffie Street Extension?
We've lived there about 12 years.
And can you tell the court about any positions that you hold in the Homeland Park community?
We do the Homeland Park Community Task Force, and I am the president.
And what does the Homeland Park Community Task Force do?
We hold meetings once a month. We try to fix any problems that are in the community, such as people not being able to get adequate water. If people need help with their food, we help them find places to get food. We do just about anything and everything that can be done to try to help the residents of Homeland Park.
Now, Mrs. Montepara, when the relators moved into the property next door to you, can you tell the court about what you did welcome to them to the neighborhood?
Yes, when they first moved in, they had completely gutted their mobile home. They had the big dumpsters out there, and she had explained to me that they were completely gutting it and going to rebuild it. At that time, she did have the 5 children over there. They had, the only running water they had was from their hose pipe outside. It was extremely hot. It was in July. My husband and I we packed up a cooler with some stuff, drinks and stuff, and I had also bought them pamphlets of different programs for the kids to get involved in and different things in the community, and expressed to them if they needed to use a bathroom because they had no bathroom and the children were going outside, that they were more than welcome to come to our house and use our bathroom, or if there was anything she needed, just to let us know. We tried to welcome them to the neighborhood.
Did you have any animus against them because they were of Russian descent?
None whatsoever.
All right. Now let's come forward a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your knowledge of the crime in your neighborhood.
We do have a high crime rate in our neighborhood. It is South McDuffie Street Extension. There are numerous break-ins, shootings. Actually, the girl that lives next door to us, the woman that lives next door to us on Bomb Lane, it was her 17-year-old daughter who was killed in the home invasion probably a few months ago. We have been talking with the police department and the gang task force due to the fact that the Bloods are hanging around that house all the time. And I prefer that this part don't be on the radio because none of us in the neighborhood need to be targets from this gang.
Or that's answer enough if you will, Tina.
All right. And what was the reason that you have surveillance cameras up?
We have actually had those surveillance cameras up for many, many years. Due to the high crime rate area, it was actually recommended by the Sheriff's Department for us to install the security cameras for our own safety, plus for our neighbors' safety.
And at any time after the relator's truck and the trailer was stolen allegedly in December of 2011, did anyone come and ask you for copies of videotapes?
Actually, we never knew anything was stolen until we went to the Sheriff's Department after we were served with a restraining order and got copies of reports. That's when the very first time we ever knew anything about anything being stolen over there.
And this time that Ms. Relator testified to where there was a gentleman prowling behind both of your homes on a back area, did anyone talk to you or ask you to provide any video surveillance?
No, ma'am, they did not.
And I believe that Mrs. Relator testified that you were out on the 26th of July with a camera.
Yes.
Now, can you tell the court what happened to you on the 24th of July?
Yes, actually on the 24th I had been in the hospital for surgery on my right shoulder.
Were you wearing any medical equipment as a result of that surgery on your right shoulder?
Yes, ma'am. I was wearing a sling and I also had a large bandage on my right shoulder, along with stitches.
And do you recall that Ms. Relator testified that you had a camera around your neck and you were taking pictures on the 26th of July?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have a camera around your neck?
No, ma'am. I did not have a camera around my neck. I had my sling on my arm.
Your Honor, I would move to put in her discharge instructions and copy of her rotator cuff surgery. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Can I add something? can I add
Do
something?
you have any objection to this, please?
Yes.
Well,
If she would have a sling on her arm, how could she help Mr. Michael Montepara put a fence, tarp fence on it, if she would have a sling on it? How?
I can ask a question about whether she helped or not.
all right, Jordan.
Miss,
Any other objection to this document?
She did help Michael Montepara to place the tarp on it.
All right. This document will be entered as Defendant's Exhibit 5.
thank you, Robin. Mrs. Montepara, were you physically able to help your husband place those fence posts and tarps on your property that day?
No, ma'am.
Who helped him place the fence posts and the tarps on your property that day?
My daughter.
And I'm going to show you a picture. I need that one. Is this a picture of your daughter and your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, I'm going to show it to the court. I'm not going to enter it into evidence because she is a minor child. And is that your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you at any time help him install the tarps?
Actually, I did hold a zip tie in my hand. That was the only thing I did was hold the zip ties.
Was it in the hand you had surgery on?
No.
All right. Now, with regard to the allegations that Ms. Relator made on the 911 tape, do you recall how long you had been home before she placed that 911 call that morning?
We had only been home maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most, long enough to get in the driveway and for my husband to unload the stuff to put where we were going to put it. We hadn't been home long.
And where had you been prior to that?
Actually, we had been to Lowe's where my husband went and bought the fence post, and we had also been to the pharmacy to pick up my prescriptions.
Okay. And
Oh, and we had actually gone to 911 also to pick up some stuff.
all right. And I'm going to show you a copy of a Lowe's receipt bearing the time of 10:03 a.m. Can you identify this receipt, please, ma'am?
What was the date in question on that, Mrs.?
7/26/2012.
Yes, ma'am, this is where we bought the fence posts.
Okay. And you recall the time that the 911 call was placed based on the 911 records?
I don't, by memory, remember. It was around 10:36 or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I didn't.
Did you, as part of this case, make a request for and receive copies of computer-aided dispatch reports?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this computer-aided dispatch report from 10:39 a.m. a true and accurate copy of what you received from Anderson County with a letter from Laura Johnson, who is the person over those tapes?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would move to put that computer-aided dispatch report into evidence to show the time the call was made.
Any objection? Ms. Golder?
Huh?
Any objection to that 911? Oh, do you have a copy for me, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll give you the original, Your Honor. And I'll also move to put into evidence the Lowe's receipt, Your Honor.
I don't have any objection. They were threatening my dog, and then after sheriff came
Objection, Your
after.
Honor, she can't testify again.
Okay.
All right, the 911 report be offered as Defendant's Exhibit 6, and the Lowe's receipt as Defendant's Number 7.
And the Lowe's receipt, on it, it shows steel heavy duty 7. Can you tell the court what those are?
Those are actually the metal fence posts.
And I'm going to show you pictures that were previously entered into evidence as Defendant's Exhibit 3. Can you identify the fence post that you purchased at Lowe's that morning on that picture?
Yes, there's some right here.
There's a bundle of them to the left of the ladder?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And there's some, my husband had started setting them up down the fence line, but it was extremely hot that day, and we were actually going to wait to set them up until after the sun had started going down, that had cooled down, instead of them being in 90-degree weather.
All right. At any time, have you ever made a verbal threat towards Mrs. Rollator, her husband, or her children?
No.
At any time, have you ever brandished a weapon to Mrs. Rollator, her husband, or her children?
No.
At any time, have you inappropriately surveilled her to determine when she was coming and going?
No.
At any time, have you done that to her husband or her children?
No.
In your capacity with Homeland Park, do you generally keep an eye on the neighborhood?
Yes.
And other than to assure your own safety and the safety of your neighbors, do you have any other purpose for the surveillance video that you have installed on your own property?
No.
Do you have any reason that you use that surveillance equipment inappropriately to look at her children?
No, actually that surveillance camera system had been in before they even bought that home. That had been there for several years before then.
Have you intentionally turned the camera to aim it at their home?
No.
And in fact, where has the camera been pointed?
We have one that points down our driveway, one at the end of the driveway that points into the street. We have one that is right dead on the fence line, and it goes up our entire fence line, which will show if anybody tries to get over the fence or anything like that. It is not pointed directly at anybody's home.
Your Honor.
And in fact, that fence line, it goes her fence as well as now the tarps that you have.
Correct. Her fence is completely dead on the property line, which actually they did not install that fence. It was 2 tenants prior to that had installed the fence, started to, and it is completely dead on the property line. When we put up our metal fencing, we actually went a little bit over from the property line. So, like I stated, theirs is dead on the property line, ours is not.
And I'm going to show you a picture from July 26th around noontime and ask if you recognize that picture. I'm again not going to put it into evidence because it shows a minor child.
I have more proof if you let me play a video.
You can't present any other evidence at this time.
I'm going to ask her to describe it first, Your Honor, and then I'll put it into evidence. Can you tell the court where the video camera is located in this picture?
This is actually not a video camera, this is a regular camera picture. Oh, you're talking about this one right up here?
Yes.
This is facing straight down the property line. As you see, it's facing straight. It's not aimed at anyone's home, it's not even aimed at my front door. It's going straight down the property line. And the Sheriff's Department said that was a perfect place to put it.
Okay, and this picture you took on the 26th at 12:13?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would allow the court to see that picture. I would put it into evidence, but I'd like to delete the child from it.
All right.
The court feels as if it needs to be in evidence.
No, ma'am, I don't believe so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, it's the same picture that I presented to you earlier, showing that it was facing my house. That's the same picture, that's the same camera
All right.
that I presented earlier.
Yes, ma'am, we have it.
Did you instruct your daughter in any way to make any harmful threats to the Rollators?
No.
And had you known or believed that she had done so, what would you have done to your daughter?
The child would have been severely grounded. I can't say I wouldn't allow her outside because we can't allow her outside.
Okay. And since this has begun with you, with the filing of this restraining order action, how has that limited your ability to be at home and move around your own property?
Actually, our ability had been limited way before that. Way back after the Rollators had just moved in. It was about a month or so after they had been there. My daughter came in to me one morning when she was getting onto the, waiting for the bus, and she had complained to me that Mr. Rollator had been.
Don't.
Okay. Well, anyways, our actions have been very, very restricted because we only stay to one side of our house. due to the fact that if they see us outside, she starts taking pictures of us or dialing 911 saying we're threatening her. So to try to minimize the waste of 911 services and the police officers coming out, we do not go on that one side of our yard. We only use the other side of our yard, which is actually pretty sad. We don't use that side anymore. And if my daughter does go out there, I go out there, 911 is dialed. That's why we put the tarps up, to try to minimize all of this.
And are you aware of any phone calls made to the sheriff's office since you have blocked her view with the
No.
tarps?
None.
And if this restraining order were to issue, how would it affect your husband as far as his ability to protect you and your daughter?
It would affect his CWP.
He has a concealed weapons permit?
Yes, ma'am.
And he has no record, does he?
No.
And has he been threatened by political enemies of yours regarding his concealed weapons permit?
Yes, ma'am.
And are some of those folks in this room today?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you believe the reason is behind the seeking of this restraining order?
I believe the reason is all boils down to a radio station and political allies, because I don't believe in their political views and they don't believe in mine. This is pure and simple political.
And between you and the realtors, is there harassment and stalking going on?
Do you mean am I stalking and harassing them? No. No, ma'am.
Are y'all having a civil dispute?
Yes, it's definitely civil, and it's over a dog.
Okay. And what was going on with the dog?
Actually, what had happened was the black dog that they have, we don't even know the name of the dog. They had gotten the dog and they had it chained in the same place where they now have the shepherd tied. The dog barks nonstop, 24/7, and I had actually gone to Mrs. Rollader at the fence one